Nope.
So you just want to have your episode paused at the 0-second mark. So that means like already have started the episode, so you're not in the Netflix menu, but just to pause it immediately, right as soon as it starts, so that you see a hallway with Emily, Richard, Lorelai, and Rory all just standing there. They're probably not just standing there; they're probably walking, but because my video is paused, it looks like they're just standing there. Yeah, I think we're good. Is everybody ready to go?
Ready.
Great.
Let's do it.
If you've been here before, you know what we're doing next. If you are new, grab your remote, have your thumb on that play button, but do not press it, because we're going to do that at the same time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Here we go.
I will say that I love it when all 4 of them have moments like this, especially if it's like kind of lighthearted.
Yeah, I agree. I like it.
When they actually act like family.
And then Richard joins in and Emily's like, oh, don't encourage them.
It's like the Harvard tour episode. No, Yale tour episode.
Yeah.
The music is very chipper, you know. It's like I already feel a lot better after yesterday's episode. I was very scared yesterday.
You know,
That
feel
sounded
like
so Seinfeldy.
There are a lot. Sorry, go on, Stacey.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I feel like the lighting in this episode is a lot lighter.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah, it's especially compared to past ones.
That's interesting. It would have had the same DP. There wouldn't have been a different director of photography, I don't think, which means that, I mean, that's essentially the person who's in charge of how the lighting in the episode looks. So if that's the case, then it was probably a decision that the show made.
And then she inevitably joins in. I love it.
I love how they're gossiping about the other patients.
Oh, definitely. You have to gossip about the other patients. It's the law.
This is so random, but I'm eating it right now. I'm having mozzarella sticks and they're amazing.
Is it okay? No, I that wasn't just a big one shot, was it? Like they didn't just not cut the entire time until just now.
I think it might have been.
No, they had like closer in shots.
They did have close shots.
Up a little bit. Well, that shows how turned on my brain is.
Lorelai's hair is looking great.
Yeah, it is. When did we see this same dress on Lorelai? I actually really like it when we see the same dress twice.
Yeah, I love this dress as well.
Laura looks tall.
Aha, see, this is the same logic that I have when people are trying to bet kernels with me. You know, just because I say one thing does not mean we have struck a deal.
Just remembered Valerie wanted me to say hi to everybody for her.
Hi, Val. Whatever realm you're in.
Did that freeze for everybody right before they?
No.
It
seemed like a pause, it freezed for me when they were
walking off camera. Like it was like, for me, it was like they were walking off camera it like started to like fade and then it freezed and then suddenly like the credits like faded up.
Freezed, huh?
Yeah,
That's weird.
That's what it did. For
Totally
me too.
freeze.
It freezed, right? Like that wasn't that's it's got to be a Netflix thing.
Mine froze.
Wait, I'm
like,
getting DMs from other people that are like it totally froze for them too, right before the song started.
I may not have
That's
been.
Maybe
I'll
they're
have to
trying
go back
make you
because
feel
I was
better,
not
John.
paying attention. Yeah,
Oh my
because
god,
it did that
it
with
fully
me.
froze. It
It
fully
did it-
froze.
It did it with me in the middle of their discussion about Mrs. Santiago.
No, it was like they were walking off camera and then it just froze as they were walking off and then just suddenly the credits came up.
I want to go back and look now, but I don't want to lose the flow.
Same.
We'll do it afterwards. It will be a
Okay.
big group project.
It'll be a story we tell for months to come. Remember the time Netflix froze? It was amazing.
Just as long as it doesn't get as traumatic as, the word that shall not be mentioned.
Okay, I was wrong. She is pregnant.
Was there a question about?
I forgot. Yeah.
Trigger warning.
Oh no, I
so
forgot.
sad.
Yeah, I forgot until someone mentioned.
I remembered when he.
Oh no, they better not.
Somehow-
They better not do anything to a dog.
Well, that's why I said that this needs a trigger warning.
I mean, the doggo passed already, man.
He passed last night.
Yeah,
now.
like we don't see it. on
Oh,
the
okay.
screen.
I thought there was gonna be something new.
I will
No,
say
I'm
that Chow
gonna
Chow
get like a
puppies
mo-
are so cute.
They are adorable. You want to eat them up.
They're so fluffy.
I mean, a dog passing like this is not that doesn't really bother me. It's when a dog is like killed in an episode, like hit by a car or something like that.
Like
That's
Marley
when-
and me.
Yeah, I can't really do that.
Let's not talk
Hey,
about
Spoilers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Marley wasn't hit by a car, if that makes anyone feel better.
Reminds me of Cinnamon's Wake.
Yes, I bet that this is what Andrea probably would say.
Yes.
Regurgitation.
Exactly.
That's interesting. I really wouldn't have seen that unless it was pointed out.
Oh, Paris being Paris.
So thoughtful of Paris.
Yeah.
I always bought used books. Way cheaper.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, me too.
Most
You know,
places
if I
won't take. Sorry, go on.
If I had a person like Paris in college, I don't think I would have dropped out.
Me too.
I went 3 times, and finally the third time I got my associates, and I was 40.
Well, I told myself
Oh,
that I would go back in 2016. Here we are 5 years later. So
I was basically the Paris in college.
Same. I had whiteboards like that.
And you
I was kind of a mix between the two.
I went back, and I would like to say to everyone else that it's never too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm planning to.
Good for you.
Totally agree.
I did a work for my master's, and I would love to continue it, but it's scary to go back. But I would love to continue what I started when the work that I started.
I love Logan in this episode.
Me too. I was gonna say that too.
Yeah, he's really good in this. He was great last episode as well.
But he's gonna lose that 3 million.
Let him live, John.
That's going. It's gone.
Anything's possible. Isn't that what an omnia paratus means?
no, that's
No, it means ready for
ready for
anything.
Okay.
He's ready to lose his 3 million, obviously.
Similar.
The moment that he loses that 3 million, you're gonna hear a good old "Ayo" from me. Just expect it.
We're waiting on the edge of our seats. Oh, a bowl of cereal sounds so good.
10 o'clock cereal.
Oh, that's
Fruity
that's
Pebbles.
perfect. That's a perfect hour to have cereal. Lee.
Fruity Pebbles sounds so
Second
good.
breakfast.
It's close to 10 for you, right, Veronica?
It's 12:30 now, but I have already had my second breakfast.
Oh, well, then you're good.
Totally.
Oh my gosh. It's not Robert.
Was he though?
That's hard to picture.
In her eyes, he was, I guess. That's what matters.
And then he was in A Woman's Coat and she called him Sheila E.
That was so funny.
This is funny.
Oh, yeah. Just the look, the smugness on Paris's face.
You broke him.
That is
Let's
how
make
she
them
would
go
look.
out and get tattooed.
Like we branded them.
Exactly.
Hey, this is like a can't. Oh,
I love him. I love him.
Let's make them go out and get tattoos. Oh, God, that line.
it's like they're in trouble.
I love Suki's face.
But it seems sort of like the opposite of Cinnamon's Way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely
That nobody
yeah.
cares.
Nobody cares. It's really overly planned.
Well, they kind of knew Cinnamon, and they didn't really know Chin Chin.
Because
But
of
poor
Michelle's
Michelle.
hidden apartment.
Although I would expect more.
And
out of
it's Michelle versus Babette and more.
True.
Hearing the evil giggles makes me have evil giggles.
His facial expressions are classic.
Yeah, they are.
I feel really bad for him though.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Me too.
They're his best friends. Like, they could care a little more.
Yeah.
Well, and they especially know how much those dogs mean to him.
I do love his comparison of Princess Diana to his dog. I do appreciate that greatly.
Sounds about right for Michelle.
And Diana would have loved that as well. She would have agreed. They're just as important. Look how cute. And fluffy.
I know I'm in the minority probably, but like I just don't think those dogs are that cute, honestly.
Bite your out. Bite your tongue.
I think
You can
all
say that
dogs are
about
cute.
tiny little Yorkie Chihuahua yippers, but not those yippers.
Chihuahua yippers.
I guess we should talk.
Before we
offense to
get too
that.
deep into this scene here, I just want to say I'm so happy that this is a good Michelle episode.
He needed one.
We see a lot of Michelle.
Love it. We needed more of these episodes in the series.
We did.
Right.
He
What is
squandered
yours?
his talent.
Can you stick around, dude?
I think she's right.
Same.
Coming from
Wow.
someone who used to run from issues, I so agree with Lorelai.
If you need to spend the night away with your parents or something, you at least talk about that. You don't just leave. You say, hey, I need some breathing space. Can I go for a night?
Free to go.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and I feel like this was, really just showing up.
Hey, what's wrong with
Representation of
Buffalo?
his- Well, yeah, I was gonna say like this shows like a reflection of his character. Like he would kind of leave. He left Sherry when things got kind of rough and kept spending a lot of time there with Lorelai.
Yep.
Good point.
It is fair, Chris. Shut up.
It is fair.
God, isn't Chris just the worst? God,
Jackass.
Chris.
Casey's on a mess. Oh, we'll talk later. And
Oh,
I'm just
oh
talking
yes.
completely off topic, but that room was decorated.
Sorry, folks. I had to do double headphones on that one.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think
just
that's
too-
fair. We were
Are you
Sorry.
more and more understanding why Chris is like basura? Because
That was a good scene, though. I mean,
Yeah, it
that was
was.
a really, really realistic scene.
I hate that she's making excuses.
Roy's so right.
It's so crazy how she's like, no, Chris, you're wrong. But to Roy, she's like, oh, it's okay.
Well, she doesn't want.
Yeah, she doesn't want to admit.
I know,
Right.
it's just,
She doesn't want Rory to be mad at her dad, so she's making
Yeah.
excuse.
it's just so like such a black than white situation.
Oh, I come back.
I would not.
Come back with a buzz cut.
Lovely. Not surprised.
Tell him that. You should tell him that.
I think that's funny considering she programmed Luke's speed up.
That's right. She did.
Well, she has a new phone like every other week, so.
Oh, that's true.
Rory or Lorelai?
Ooh, is this a new love
Lorelai.
interest?
She's
No.
still
Team
Team
said.
Tucker? Team Tucker?
I don't get this man is just
That's
like
the TA.
I so knew you were gonna say that, Jen.
Not every guy is a love interest, John.
TA stands for totally awesome.
Yeah, he's not cute though.
this man is but a spicy as salt. I don't know what she's on.
It's kind of
I agree.
Marty's kind of cute.
No,
I
He's
think
I'm Marty
that's
dirty
2.0.
cute, but he does look a lot like Christopher. I'm not.
Oh
Ugh.
no!
Oh my gosh.
So is the
does
idea
it
that,
number-
that
I never
she's
saw
that she's hot for teacher?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong.
Yes.
So
Not a big
I'm
age
right here.
difference.
There could potentially be a Team Tucker in this.
No.
Flirting.
Love
The
interest.
flirting acting. The flirt acting was hilarious. I
The
love it. It was
flacting.
over the top.
The flacting.
Yeah.
Wolf
I
girl
might-
in a boss.
Just so you know,
I
if
just
the
noticed that
scene gets
too,
intense, I
girl.
might have to do double headphones. Just
That's a
warning.
good idea.
I would just do
Wouldn't
it.
be a bad idea.
I can't unsee that the TA looks like Christopher now. Jesus Christ.
I have to say that these two did such a great job on this episode. Laura and David, their scenes were great.
Wow, that
It's
was
like, how dare you not tell me anything? And then he's like, well, I don't want to tell you.
What were you saying, John?
that happened a month ago.
Yep.
In Gilmore time.
They both don't tell each other everything.
Mm-hmm.
Free and clear, like what? That's a icky.
Ugh, Chris.
Oof.
Feel that.
That is an incredible
Why did you
line.
ask her in the first place? Not your fault, Laura.
Jesus, this guy needs to stop for a second.
Seriously,
just stop, dude. Just stop.
Oh,
I
he's
just hate how he's-
catastrophized.
She keeps reassuring him and he just does not want to accept it.
I just hate how he's pinning this mostly on her when he's the one who pursued her in the first place.
He doesn't ever take accountability. He did the same thing with Sherry.
Exactly. I mean, Sherry was Sherry, but
yeah,
Jesus,
exactly.
you guys all hate them together, and now he's trying to leave her, and everybody's mad about that too. Just let him be.
Because he doesn't take responsibility. That's why.
Well, it's just mostly just. I just want him to just chill for a second.
Well,
I
I do
pushed her to
think
something that she wasn't ready for.
But she,
That's
yes,
because
and
need that.
she is still saying yes to him and he just won't accept it.
well, so that's actually what I was going to say is I actually see what I think he was saying when he feels like he's still asking her. Because I think like she's definitely doing all of the right things, but I just feel like the chemistry is not there. Maybe he can sense it too.
Yeah, I am a very intuitive person. I read people very well, and sometimes it does go beyond what they're saying. You can just feel it.
Oh, I can see what you're saying. With her words are saying one thing, but her actions, like hiding the letter, are saying something else.
Yes.
But I think that her reason for hiding
You're-
that letter is a solid one. What what
yeah.
she says to him makes a lot of sense. This is a high stress episode for Lorelai.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
angles. Family, husband, co-workers, friends.
Oof, that
Oh, I
was.
want to just smack Michelle right now.
Isn't that true?
But
though,
he's
when
in
you're-
pain too.
Both
When
are
you're
going through very tough times right now. So I feel like I cut both of them slack.
This is a great system by Paris.
That hurts my head. I'm offended by how high these bookshelves are, man.
Me too.
Why? Because you're short.
Okay.
Bro, I could probably reach the third shelf. Not even.
Ooh.
Oh,
TA.
Professor
Oh,
Cook.
ew. No, ew.
He
Yum,
looks like a
yum. Ew, just
He looks like a freaking Chet. Like,
If he worked on his eyebrows, I think he would be good to go.
I'm sorry. I'd pick Marty over him in a heartbeat.
Oh, Marty's pretty.
hold on.
Well,
Is
clearly they took
is
his
he in
glasses
something
off.
else?
The flacting.
It's not just his look.
We got none of that.
I do like how she's kind of, flirting with him after Paris was the one who said that Logan was the one who was tamed.
I'm telling you, if there had been a season 8, we'd have a Team Tucker.
No, we would not.
Promise.
I'm telling you, if you keep trying to get this girl to date this like Chet man, I'm going to have an aneurysm.
Ooh la la.
Not every guy she interacts with
No.
is a potential teen.
Yeah, that's how it works.
But she's totally into him though.
She's acting more into him than she's acted into other people that she's actually been with.
For sure.
I think she's more into the idea of him. I don't think if she was being like logistical, she'd be like, I like him, honestly, because I'm good.
Intellectual crush.
I
Maybe,
mean, I'm
that's
very
fair.
much in love with one of my lecturers, so
My accounting professor was not.
there's something about the unattainable, folks.
Oh my god.
See, that
Lorelai is
her
just
showing-
like she is just done with everyone.
Yeah.
I feel like when you have something so big going on in your life, it just inevitably leaks into other parts of your life. You kind of just turn into a bad person at times.
That sounds so
Everything
Are
good.
those little
that-
baby aubergines in that
Everything that
strainer
Suki
there?
is saying
Yep.
sounds really delicious.
Susie, Suki's actually cooking. There's a flame.
Now she's salting and stirring, man. And salt. Oh, that was that. No, it's cheese. Or what is that? Don't put any more salt in that.
She's salting without tasting as well, which is a little insane.
I pretty much very rarely ever put salt in my food. So that's
In the same way, only scrambled eggs get salt for me.
lots of black pepper, but no salt.
I'm all about the salt and pepper.
Suki means business.
Whoa.
Plot twist.
To be fair, Luke also was jealous of Christopher.
Because Christopher was trying to pursue her in a very sneaky.
And Luke worked on accepting that he was always going to be part of her life. That's the difference, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Lorelai could not cut Christopher out of her life.
Cut my ex out of my life when my son was 4. He's 25 now.
I definitely want to talk about this whole idea of like having exes in your life as friends and how that and how that works with a marriage and what I'd love to get into a discussion in the post show on that.
That would be great. I'm actually pro that.
Free. If you have trust, they don't have trust.
She said, of course I have feelings for.
The feeling was friendship.
If we've learned anything from watching Friends and Ross and Rachel going through the same exact thing, never works out.
Good question, Suki.
I love
Yeah,
that question.
Suki.
Suki just
Yes.
asked.
Go.
Whoa, that was pretty
That was tough.
interesting.
That's such a good best friend question too.
Absolutely, yes.
That is not Carol.
Is this the music store?
It is.
Yeah,
Zach.
it's Sophie.
Oh,
Is this the music store?
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's Sophie's.
Oh, Zach. Who let the dogs out? Celine Dion.
The pure horror on Zach's face.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, that is so good stuff. Oh, Michelle's so happy.
Oh, please let me. Please let me hear this in the episode. Please let me hear this. If I don't hear this, I'm going to be upset.
That person behind Lorelai is wearing the scarf she wore to Yale one time and offered it to Rory for her date.
Oh, that's funny.
It's
The fun
Dr. Who
scarf?
That's the fun scarf.
Normally I love hats on her, but I'm not liking that hat.
Yeah, it's not fitting well.
Not with the outfit.
The shape of it reminds me of hats that were used in 2016 for a big mart.
Oh yes, I
Oh, I
remember.
see
I know
that.
what you're talking about.
Mm. Oh my goodness.
That's so painful.
Right in the feels.
That's
I don't
hits
like
you in
that
the feelers.
I'm sorry.
Good luck cutting him out.
Hey, look who it is.
The soon-to-be ex-boyfriend.
Team Tucker.
Oh God. If I hear Team
Team
Tucker one more
Robert.
time, I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Team
I'm not gonna
Tucker.
kick in the door.
Oh, so you want me to die? What did I do? You at least wait until after I go to my Harry Styles concert?
Why don't we get to see her belly dancing?
I was just about to say the same
Good
thing.
question.
I want to see Paris belly dance.
Oh, a guilty kid.
Yeah.
Here comes the breakup.
Oh my God.
This dude is like, huh?
There
Oh,
is no
cut-
breakup.
You
cut
don't
that tail
know.
out of the back of your head.
Spoiler alert.
You can't see the future.
He's so awesome in this.
Oh my goodness, Rory. Chill out.
She
Googled it.
Googled him. Dirty.
I
There are
really
many
hate how
reasons
she's
I don't
beating
agree with the Logan
herself
and
up
Chris.
about this.
Yes, I know.
So mature.
Obviously.
Bonds.
Bobby, baby.
He doesn't get jealous.
Did I break you?
This is a very good look on Logan.
This
Absolutely.
is so cute.
Way better than season 6, Logan. See?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Wait, guys.
He's an adult.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Accountability.
Oh.
I love
So damn
that.
cute.
Very sweet.
The polarizing relationships in this episode are just like,
Oh, this is funny.
Good point, Lily.
Right?
here's a great example of
Ooh.
why I don't like the
Oh.
I'm
Chris and
feeling.
Logan comparison.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Is this happening?
It's happening, John.
All right. This
Great
is double headphones
rendition.
going on.
Wow,
Double head-
you're so excited. It's a funeral.
Oh, he's really playing.
Beautifully.
Oh, there's Delaney.
But no, Brian.
Brian, where have you been?
Oh my gosh. This is amazing.
This scene makes me really sad. Even though like nothing is said in it, it's still very sad.
Yeah, it is.
Because the
Certain scenes
heart
are
will
that
go
good.
on.
I'll tell you what, all they had, they just got the rights to play it, not even the lyric rights. I'm sure they spent a lot of money on that.
Double headphones.
Double headphones happening.
Yep.
I love that that's a new thing. Double head.
I feel like we shouldn't say that. That's kind of the same as saying, hey, focus.
Not allowed to say anything now?
John doesn't really enjoy it.
Yep.
He admits it.
Oh, I do love this scene.
God, me too. Me too.
Oh, Lauren, you're killing me.
It's so good.
Now everybody just think back to the scene when they were kids. The
I don't
flashback
think-
scene.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
My heart. Oh, that kills me.
Oh, God.
No, me too.
She's so good.
Give this woman an award for fuck's
That's
sake.
what I was just about to say. Like, why
I know
didn't
this
she win
seems
an
so
Emmy?
grow up, Lorelai.
Who said that?
I'm joking.
Oh,
I am
I was ready to
joking.
go.
I'm glad they
When am I ever serious when it comes to stuff like that?
They just kept, leaving the room and yelling at each other. They needed this conversation to happen.
They need to
I don't
hear
feel
each
bad
other.
for Chris at
There
all.
was about to be a mob action going on here.
We were so ready.
Woo!
My
What
God.
an episode.
There's a very big difference.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
How did she not win the Emmy that year? First of all,
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Okay, as I
Secondly,
was saying,
wait, hold on 1 second. Let me just say one thing really quick because then I do need to open the couch. Christopher is pretty awesome at the very end of that scene.
Yes.
Like he's finally given in like to all of that. It's very clear that that's his best moment right there.
I completely agree.
Yes,
That's his
I
best
mean, he
moment.
does.
I
He
fully-
does care.
He cares, sure, but he understands and he is not fighting it and fighting her and
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it
I
as
think
him.
he'd realized when he kind of ran away and he was waiting for her to catch up.
yeah. Hold on, let me open up the couch and then I'm gonna bounce to you, Tasha. I know that you wanted to say something. And we are open for business.
We need to
on-
go back and watch the freeze.
Oh, right. We do need to. Group project, like making butter.
Same.
Have any of you made butter in elementary school? It's
no,
of
but
a
I
group
did make
project?
ice cream.
No, but sounds fun.
We made
There
ice
was
cream.
no freeze on my screen. As
Hey,
soon as
butter.
John said it, I was like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Hey, John, do you want to make me a moderator so I can
Yes.
help you bring people up?
yes. I keep forgetting that.
Shame.
I wish that
Shame.
there was a way that you could actually make you a moderator from. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why would you be a co-host but not a moderator?
Yeah.
Anyway. So
Sounds like something for a suggestion box.
nah.
Good luck trying to get a hold of Clubhouse. They made it very hard, so you can't.
I'm talking
Yeah, I
more
don't-
for
I
like
don't-
ones where Marcus has.
Right. Yeah. No, that's definitely, I mean, definitely not something that I'm interested in doing, is trying to figure out how to get in touch with Clubhouse.
Ethan, John.
Yeah, I was just referring more to.
Oh, I was
Marcus.
eating, actually, I'm done. That was just the wrapper that you heard. I was eating this chocolate bar Arrow.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's so good.
So
I've never
delicious.
I've never done that before, and it's
You know-
great.
Oh,
Have you
What's
had
funny
Kinder
about
Buenos?
those is apparently they've never been in America, but I had one when I lived in Hawaii, so I guess the shipment is different. But I guess they don't actually sell them in like the mainland US.
I'll tell you
Oh,
this
yeah,
much
yeah.
though. I'll tell you this though. It is definitely a great business. That chocolate bar is brilliant because it is mostly air. So they figured out how to take like a third or even a fourth of the amount of chocolate you would get in a normal bar, just fluff it up with air
Oh, like
and
a
sell it
Doritos
for the
bag?
same amount of money that they would sell.
I
any
didn't
other
realize
diet
you didn't have.
Like a Doritos
No.
bag?
I thought the US didn't have it. Am I nuts?
I'd never heard of it before.
You're right.
I've
actually
never
heard
heard
of
of it.
them.
Which
They always
candy
have
bar are
World
we talking
Market.
about?
They always have them at World Market.
I googled it
Oh,
to
that's
see what chocolate bars aren't in the States and are in Canada, and Arrow was like one of the first like results. So
Did
It's
anyone
called
hear my
Arrow
joke? Or
bar?
am I getting ignored here?
What was your joke?
You were saying like 2/3 of the air and just put into a chocolate bar, and I said, "Oh, like a bag of Doritos."
A bag
They
is a
put
bag of
mainly
is-
air.
Bag of
Put mainly air in it?
Yeah, bags of Doritos can be pretty. They've been getting pretty skimpy over the
Have
past
you had a
decade.
coffee crisp chocolate bar?
I haven't. No.
It's incredible.
Hearing you
Oh.
describe that though, Hershey's does have a similar type of bar where they like pump air into it. I don't remember the name of it, but it's pretty good.
I mean, this Arrow thing. It's very interesting texture. So it's like a
Mhm.
very fun
Yeah,
experience
those
to
are
eat it.
so
But I was just like
good.
looking at. I was thinking to myself, this has got to cost about a third of what a normal chocolate bar would cost because it's mostly just air. You know, I mean, it's a cool experience, but like
okay.
you're paying
I'll go get chocolate.
for that extra experience.
Have you had Kinder
I
Bueno?
googled the Hershey's ones. It's called Air Delight, and it looks horrifying.
You know
I
what
love
my
Kinder
favorite
Buenos,
chocolate
by the way. I
bars-
love Kinder Buenos.
They're
Oh,
so
me
good.
too. Me
Yeah.
too.
You know what my favorite chocolate bar is? Have y'all ever had a symphony bar? A Hershey's
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
symphony
symphonies
bar?
are great.
Crackles are much better.
All right, let's head into the episode. This was one heck of an episode. Tasha, don't worry. I do not forget. Don't worry. This was one heck of an episode. This was amazing,
Emotional.
this episode. This was an amazing. I mean, it was really, really intense episode, but this episode was awesome.
Agreed. Agreed.
We got to meet the new love interest. So good.
Ugh. Tasha, give us some of your insight on this.
So when I said grow up, Lorelai, I was joking. There's a big difference between my very serious voice and my very sarcastic voice. Sometimes it doesn't convey very well over Clubhouse, but I was joking.
To be fair, I didn't even know who said it. I just got angry.
Thanks, friend.
I'm not gonna
Um,
lie, I thought it was Lily, but my sound was very low.
No, my thoughts. I don't know. I just never liked Chris, and I feel like there's like, yeah, it's sad, and especially like this last scene, it's very hard to watch. And yes, Lorelai is a beast at being like on the emotional side of things, and not a lot of actors or actresses can really dig that deep into emotion and bring that out and make it believable. So when you have someone who can do that and you can actually feel it and it makes the audience kind of go through that emotion with you, that's when you know you've done something right. And Lorelai and Rory and even Emily are very good at doing that. But no, I just like, I do feel for Lorelai, and it pissed me off so much in the fight they had before this last scene, because, and I said in the episode, I honestly feel like he was trying to put a lot of the blame mostly on her because of the whole Luke thing, whereas he had a very equal part in them getting together and them getting married, because he was so persistent. And yes, him saying like, I've been trying to ask you for 20 years to marry me. It's like, but dude, the first couple times you asked, you guys were not in a financial or mental state to do that. So that kind of negates it. But it just pissed me off so much that like he wasn't taking responsibility for his part in this, and the fact that he had a fight with Luke, and he just like seemed to like not care, and then didn't show up to her dad to the hospital when Richard was in the hospital, and just checked in like he was checking into a flight. It's just like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I know it's this is easily for me like the episode where all of it comes together. Like I'm thinking back to that scene in the diner, or in Luke's diner, where she says to him like, you know, that she's finally kind of like come to terms with like the idea of like not having him, and like, you know, I'm like, this episode is sort of, I mean, it's definitely like a death episode, right? Like you like that moment feels like the death of what it could have been, what they each wanted it to be at different times. And because of it, I sort of feel like you just, or at least for me, like you flash back through all of the big Christopher Lorelai moments, like the two of them walking through what was it, the town where she tries to kiss him, and he pulls away. The diner scene where she says that, you know, she's kind of that she's finally over him, and he gets really upset. The first meeting when he comes on his motorcycle, like all of it just is like flashing. All those images are like flashing through my head here as this relationship is like dying, you know. And what's so oh man, like I'm really emotional about it, like because it's very sad. But what I found so powerful was how you can sense that he feels there's like almost a sense of relief that he's finally kind of he can find some sort of peace with it, in a way that like he's been torn up about it, and to finally hear the truth is actually like the best thing for Christopher.
Daisy's flash.
It gives him like permission to walk away.
Yeah. And he just the Christopher character and also the actor, they just like just totally knocked that last moment out of the park. It was just so powerful. It's very understated because most of that scene is about her brilliant performance, but that was also like, you know, that he's doing something amazing there as well. It's just much quieter. And anyway, Stacy, you had something that you wanted to add.
Yeah, I just feel like this is such an important episode for us as like viewers to be able to see, because like regardless of how we feel about Christopher, in terms of, you know, who he's supposed to be with, he's still an important part of her life, and so we kind of need to see this like culmination of their relationship. And I feel like for me, I feel like Christopher grows a lot in this episode. So I agree with what you were saying, John, about really loving him at the end of this. I know that.
It's a Pope.
His dog Kirk acting up again.
Dog Kirk.
My microphone is muted. Did you mute me, or did you mute me for me?
Probably.
I don't know how
It
that
sounded like a private moment.
Perry just took the dog out, brought him back in real fast, and now he's whining at the door again. Like, he doesn't give him time. Kill that kid. I need to train the boy, not the dog.
Did anybody else want to chime in about this? I know that we're sort of going backwards. It's so that ending is just so incredibly powerful that it's hard to like.
Who is?
I was thinking. Sorry, this is Julie.
Julie, great.
Yeah, I was thinking about the fact that you're talking about flashing back to all the Lorelai Christopher moments. Remember when Christopher's father died? As soon as Lorelai heard, she was there.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, she let Rory go first, but she showed up with, she put a grown-up milk cookies. Remember, bottle of tequila. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, and yeah, that's Lorelai though. I mean,
but that's the point. They're
different people, very
different people, and kind of out of sync.
And Luke is much more like Lorelai. Like Luke would do that. I mean, he did do that. He came to the hospital.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think that like it's interesting because very often people who are very, very similar do sometimes have that clash because they are so similar that they're a bit uncompromising in how they want to negotiate the relationship. And that's what we saw with Lorelai and Luke in their relationship. We see how like that the similarity between the two of them became sort of like a liability. But here is the opposite, which is these two are so completely out of sync that it just could never really work. One of the things that I just love so much about this episode is how utterly convincing she's so convincing. How convincing Lorelai is early in the episode when she's trying to tell him, dude, I want this. I love this. I want to make this work. When the truth is like under all of that, there is all of this that she hasn't dealt with. And I loved it. Like they didn't show their hand. The writing didn't show its hand in those early scenes. They really did have you thinking like, okay, she is in it. He's being super unrealistic. He's a little delusional. Like that's not what's going on here, dude. Just you need to chill out, right? When the truth is he was right. He could see something.
I used to find that a little bit annoying actually. When I watched, I would be like, it almost felt like they pulled it out of nowhere with that final scene because she was so in it. It seemed she was so in it in the early scenes of that episode. And it used to annoy me how jarring it was. But I think with time, I've come to appreciate that she was trying to convince herself as well as him. So it wasn't that she was lying, essentially, or it wasn't that it was bad writing. It was that she was telling herself as much as she was telling Chris.
Absolutely. She was trying to convince herself, and then she tells Suki, well, I'm just going to cut him out. That's the only solution. And then she sees Luke, and I think in that moment she realizes, oh wait, that cannot be a solution. One, I still have feelings for him, and two, he is in my life. He's always been in my life. And so I think it's just she finally is truthful with herself when she is faced with him, and it just all hits her.
Does anyone else get the sense that they're kind of flipping a switch with Christopher the way that, in my opinion, and I've heard this on the Gilmore guys too, there's this idea that, Dean could never just be like good and have there be a reason for her to break up with him or for Rory to break up with him to go to Jess. Like he had to become controlling and rude at many points, and then Jess had to be bad, and then Logan was like kind of bad for a while, and then all of a sudden he's like this perfect guy. And I was getting that sense with Chris as well. Like he can't just be good. He had to be really like kind of nasty towards the end in order to have them break up. I mean, he was nice kind of at the very end, but as soon as they got married, he just kind of turned into this crummy guy. Like he had to be really, really bad in order for them to justify them breaking up. It didn't seem like it was enough for her just to not be a good fit for him.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm not completely on board with that is because we did get to see what it would look like for Lorelai to just realize that she wasn't right for somebody, even though they didn't have to like devolve into this like horrible person. And that's Max. I mean, Max all the way to the end was a good guy and, did his best and really didn't do anything, I think, that would warrant like, I mean, I wasn't crazy about the character because I thought he was a little bland, but like, but we did get to see Lorelai just realize on her own, we're not right, and I'm not going to go through with that. So I see what you mean about it feeling like that happened, but I don't know if I'd say that was totally something that the writers felt they needed to do. It fell in character for the Christopher character to behave the way he did in these last several episodes. It didn't seem out of character. Are you saying that you felt like it was out of character?
I didn't think it was out of character. I just thought it was such a big shift in like a very short amount of time. Like they went instantly from so happy to, just so unhappy. Although I guess Luke and the letter really, changed things for them. So I get
also not only that.
Your point. I get your point. I just feel like there are other shows where like there's more of a sense that, there's characters to me in other shows feel more complicated. Like you can kind of see the good and bad in everyone. And I feel like sometimes with Gilmore Girls, like it's like you have to be good or you have to be bad, you know?
I mean, I can definitely see that. Although I feel like I see way more of even when, Christopher is at his worst, which this season he was at his worst, even still, I feel like I can see through all of that and see a person there. I could see mostly a little boy who's never really totally grown up and is still scared and insecure. And in all of that, even at his worst, it's why I've been sort of saying from the beginning, I don't really like the idea of calling him garbage, because ultimately he's just hurting. And usually when we're the most like lovesick and insecure and whatnot, that we just do the stupidest things that we would do. We become the worst of ourselves. So it's hard for me to fault him for that. But also I was going to say, this episode also reminded me that we're on Gilmore time, because I was like, didn't they just fight? And then I realized that he's like, oh, we fought a month ago. I was like, a month ago? we just watched that episode.
Yeah, it was over
Was
Christmas.
that really a month ago?
It was before Christmas. This is like February.
Yeah. So also remember, I think that something that we often, and especially now because shows are so much more compressed, the timing, the actual story in a lot of shows that are on television now are the time is much more compressed. Whereas this was supposed to have taken place over the course of like a year. So that, that a lot of the like kind of honeymoon stuff is actually months before any of that begins. I mean, like if we say that the fight with the gazebo was a month ago, then when was the punch at his front door? Like that was even well before that, which means that like we could be really looking at a devolving of the Christopher character over the course of like 5 months, which doesn't really seem that odd to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly how it was as it aired, and this also happened after sort of like the holiday break, and so it did feel like a lot more time had passed when you watched this as it aired.
Yeah, I can see that. Also, at the end of the episode, John, you were saying that you felt like that was a good moment from Christopher. I didn't see it so much as him like finally giving Lorelai what she wanted necessarily. To me, it was that he was finally accepting defeat.
Yeah.
Like he's been trying to hold on for so long.
I agree with that. I like that about it. That's what I liked. But I agree. Yeah.
He
I saw
he
that.
realized that, okay, I love her, but she doesn't love me the way that I love her. I need to let her go. She loves someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he was letting her go.
Yeah, exactly. That he was letting her go. And in order to let her go, to get her out of his system, that needed to happen.
She was letting herself go as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harvest, guys.
Yeah,
They were
don't
both
forget
trying
to
so hard.
harvest.
They were both trying so hard to make it work. Like, okay, but it was what doesn't start in a right way, and they didn't restart the relationship in a right way because she was in such a bad timing in her life that she went to him. They jumped into something that she wasn't ready to jump in because obviously, and it, it, it wasn't right, like they said.
For sure.
But I think this all goes back to what we were talking about from the very first season, which is that Christopher doesn't always realize when he is right, when something is right or the timing is right, and he doesn't always think things through. And this has been like the way we've seen Christopher. Maybe John has argued with us, but it's the way we've seen Christopher from the beginning, and that's why Lorelai always pushed back and said to him, "No, no, no." This time she didn't push back, and it still imploded.
Yeah, it feels a little bit to me on that point that Christopher is kind of socially stunted. Like he can't take social cues, or he just refuses to take them because he wants things to be his way. So he'll push and push and push until he gets his way, and then he realizes that that's not any better. I feel like he's weak in that sense that he doesn't necessarily understand how to read other people or read a room or any of those little cues that most of us, are able to pick up on. He either doesn't pay attention to them or like doesn't understand them.
Can I ask something vaguely related, but not as serious as what we're talking about? Did I miss where Gigi is?
She's
at
his
She's at his mom's, I believe.
Okay, because I was thinking, where is she while all this serious conversating is happening?
Well, I realized that I kind of,
she's
I'm sorry, but I kind of spoiled that last time we spoke when I said Gigi's the one who bears the brunt here, is that she keeps being moved around. And so now she's not even in a stable place. She's at her grandma's. And
her dad's in a rotten
got rid
mood.
of his place. Like, I don't know why he doesn't go back to his own place. I guess he got rid of it. But she really got a lot of disruption in this last little.
And totally random. I wonder why didn't the writers bring her back, the grandmother back, to reconnect with Rory or try to reconnect with her. That would have been very interesting.
That would have been cool now that the grandfather's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm
That
pretty
would have been
sure
very
the
interesting.
actress right now was on Heroes. Wasn't this around the time Heroes began?
Yeah, that
Heroes
would
was-
have overlapped. Yeah.
Would have been very interesting.
Yeah, those two granddaughters.
Rory's reaction to her grandmother, her other grandmother, trying to reconnect, and that would have been this would have been the perfect moment because Gigi's living with Lorelai.
She's probably thinking, well, Rory's in college, and then here's her other granddaughter who's young and just has so much, like Mary is saying, just so much disruption of her mom going to Paris, and she goes to Paris, then she's back from Paris, then she goes to Lorelai's house, then she's back from. So at least the grandma, at least that's a stable environment.
Wait, what does Heroes have to do in this?
The actress that plays Christopher's mom is on Heroes, so she wouldn't have been able to come back.
Along with Jess.
Well, yeah,
They
Ja-
left together.
I knew that.
Wait, but her
The
wait,
grandmother, the
She's on
Chris's
Hero?
mom. Chris's mom.
Yeah, she's on Heroes.
Interesting.
But I also
That's a show I
think-
never watched.
It's a good one. You should watch it.
I watched the first 2 seasons and then lost interest.
The last season was weird, but the first ones are.
I liked it. I think that would be a good group watch.
I can be on board with that.
So can I change the subject just a little bit?
Please,
I would-
please.
I would like to ask the room's opinion on this about how Rory felt she needed to confess to Logan that she found another guy attractive. Because I think it's a little bit weird and a little bit like, I don't know, like, what does that say about their relationship that she's so afraid that he would get mad that she feels like she has to tell him every time?
Well,
He already
Logan,
Yeah,
agreed
Logan
to
explained
like,
it.
I just
Yeah,
found it
Logan
weird.
There was-
apologized for that.
There was something though that I'm a little unclear about, and maybe others here can clarify for me. Is she just telling him, I just had my first experience of finding another guy attractive when I'm in a relationship with somebody
I
else?
think so.
Or was she
Yeah.
was she saying, I'm feeling like I want to be with somebody else?
No, I think she's the latter, where this is the first time she's experiencing a crush on someone else while being in a
Yeah.
relationship. And I
Because
think
that just
freaks her out.
seems, because that just really makes Rory seem incredibly naive. Naive
Oh,
when it
yeah.
comes-
Definitely.
Yeah,
when
like
it comes to
it's
love.
weird.
Well,
Yeah.
It's not the
I don't know,
first
it's a
time
weird
though.
one.
She's
Right.
had a crush
Yeah,
on
it's not the first time. Didn't
on-
look attracted to Jess when she was with Dean.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is
But I
more
think
like
this is because this is this was her first adult. Sorry to cut you off, Tasha. I didn't mean to. But I think because this is the first, her first real adult relationship, and I think this is the first time she's really gone all in, as an adult in a relationship. And so I think for her, it just kind of freaked her out, and she didn't she felt weird about it. But Logan explained it. He said that he overreacted, and it freaked her out so much that she felt she needed to tell him when she doesn't. So I think he calmed her down, but I think she is a bit naive, John.
But
You're
he
right,
talked, I mean, he spoke to her like she was a child. Like he was like,
Yeah, like it was,
like
well, I think he
like
just had to
you have
explain
a
it to
crush
her.
on somebody. Like it was like really a moment where I was like, man, is Rory really that naive when it comes to
I think a big factor in that is that, she did have a crush on Jessica when she was with Dean, but I think Logan is the first really serious and really safe relationship that she's been in.
Sorry guys,
So
that was
having-
not that was a ketchup bottle.
So,
Thanks for cutting me off, man.
so what I was
Thanks for cutting me off, man.
so what I was going to say.
Babsy had her headphones on. She did not hear that the ketchup bottle really sounded like a really gross wet fart.
So what I was going to say was the fact that I don't think would be really fair to kind of group this possibly, and I'm not saying that anybody is, but this is my opinion, to kind of group it possibly in the same category as when she had a crush on, or falling for, better yet, falling for Jess while she was with Dean, because I mean, she was a kid and she was 16, she was 17 when all that happened, and that's kind of the time where you're still finding out who you are, and not all relationships end in marriage. And obviously she was a kid when she was with Dean, and obviously that didn't go very far. And now that she's a senior in college and she's 22 at this point, she has a little bit firmer grasp on how relationships go. And yeah, she's still a little naive because I mean, she hasn't really been fully out there for too long because she's not, as Lorelai has said, like, she's not a type of person that just dates. She's a relationship girl, and she's always been that way. And like, I think Logan found it funny because, like, obviously what he said, like, he was a jerk about Marty and felt and possibly gave her the need to tell him every time that she recommends a book to a guy or finds another guy attractive. And I think, as much as I am not a Logan and Rory fan, I feel like this is like the healthiest that we've ever seen them, because like the fact that he didn't fly off the handle like Dean, or just like sulk and not say anything and be very distant like Jess, like they actually talk about things. And Logan, as he's really grown throughout the last like couple seasons that we've seen him, and the fact that he's like, yes, like I screwed up and I'm sorry that you had to felt the need to tell me that. I just feel like it shows like how much their relationship has grown in the last couple seasons. So I think
Yeah.
Totally.
Am I the only one who connected that to the whole bridesmaids thing?
Yeah, no, I connected it to that as well. I just thought that it was very like, it felt like yes, I did. I just think that it sounded a lot more like Rory was just simply freaked out about the fact that she had a crush on somebody. And he was like, that is normal.
But that's what I mean. Like, I think she was saying to him, I actually finally understand that you could have found someone else attractive while you were quote unquote with me, or thought you were broken up or whatever. And now I'm feeling it too, but I'm not going to do what you did. Like, I feel like it went to that.
Right. But he's sort of explaining to her in the moment, that was sort of the point. Like, I did that because we weren't actually in a relationship, and because we are in a relationship, I would never do that to you, and I trust that you would never do that to me. If we broke up tomorrow and you ended up sleeping with that TA, I'd have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the point I was making is that I think until she had this crush,
you're breaking up, Mary. I don't know if you're breaking up.
She never.
Yeah, she is.
Logan's viewpoint. Sorry, I was saying. I don't know if it's better now. That from
it's better.
From Rory's viewpoint. Until she had this crush on the TA, she never really understood Logan's actions. Is that just me?
I think it has more to do with the comment by Paris, when Paris says that we had these wild stallions, Doyle and Logan, and now we've tamed them and we've spooked them. You know, they wouldn't go anywhere even if they get spooked. And I think Rory, you know, kind of brushes that comment off that Paris says, but then she starts to have a crush. And then I think it kind of goes through her head like, oh, maybe I'll get spooked. Maybe I will look elsewhere or do something.
Or do you think she was testing Paris's theory? Maybe
I was going to say that. Yes, I was going to say that,
spook
Mandy. You took the words right out of my mouth, Mandy. That's also what I was thinking, where it was like, because she was like, I have a crush. I don't know if she was like consciously testing him, but she's like, I have a crush on this guy. And he's like, uh-huh. And then she says, did I break you? And he's like,
yeah,
what are you talking about? Like,
I don't think she was really testing it. I think she honestly just got swept up because you saw how her face was, and we'd never see that with Rory. And so I think like after the fact that Logan said like, you have a crush, that's normal. Like any side of a relationship has probably had a crush, a small crush, or has found another person attractive while being in a relationship. And I think that's when Rory was like, then she said, well, did I break you? Like,
yeah, but you know,
here's why it seems.
Oh, sorry. No, go on.
Sorry. I was just gonna say the reason it seems so weird and uncharacteristic, and why the her trying to spook him thing makes sense to me is because when she kissed Jess in Philadelphia, I don't remember her confessing that to him. And that's a much bigger deal than just finding somebody attractive.
Yeah, but you also have to remember that was sort of wrapped up in her own feelings of anger towards Logan and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that was a slightly different situation. But I actually do agree with you here that I don't know if I would say it's a conscious one, but I actually think that it is linked to what Mary's saying, because when Paris says, like, we had these stallions and now look at them, they're like, just like, we broke them, they do whatever we want, right? When she says we had these stallions, how could Rory not think about this one thing that he did that was so like a guy doing what he what he wants to do? So she had to have been in some way relating this idea of, I had this guy once who in my mind kind of cheated on me, even if it was like emotionally or whatnot, however you want to categorize being in the way we were, or how you want to categorize our relationship at that time. And now I've got a guy who would never, ever, ever do that, but that's not really how Logan sees it. Like, I think that Logan is more seeing it like, no, I mean, I have crushes on people all the time, and I might actually sleep with them if we broke up. It's possible he might even sleep with them within a week of them breaking up, or
He
a
never
day.
said that though.
No, he didn't. I'm just saying that, like, in the point he's trying to make is that, like, just having a crush on somebody is not really anything except just natural,
Also, Rory is incredibly emotionally raw right now. Like, she didn't even really want to come back to school, but she's back at school after this really traumatic thing with her grandfather. Stuff with her mom was happening. And then this whole Paris telling her that they were wild horses, and then she sees this guy, and she's like,
wild horses.
What a song.
Because she's just totally not in her, normal state of mind. And Logan isn't here, so there isn't like this like immediate man next to her that would not make her like not even look at dude twice. But because of all these like culminating factors, she looks at this very vanilla looking man and goes, which I think is hilarious. So
tell us Lily, tell us how you really feel about Tucker.
He looks like a Chet, and he looks about
She's
as spicy
head
as
Team
potential that you were
Tucker.
squirting on whatever you were squirting. So
If there was a season 8, Team Tucker would exist. If there was a season 8, we would have, because that's the way that they do it, right? Like, they introduce a love interest in the season before that is in some way a challenge to the current love interest. They have them, they tease it a little bit, and then in the next season, that's when they get them together, and that's when the previous
if
one
there's
falls
season
apart.
8, it's already not
I don't think they would do that.
Oh wait, what's his actual name? I just called him Chet. What's his name?
His real name's
Tucker.
Tucker Culbertson.
I think, like, if that's your theory, John, then they would have done something with Marty and Rory, because there was obviously like flirting and they were friends and stuff like that. And Marty came after Jess.
Well, I'll say this.
Dean.
I actually think that they may have been thinking about something for Marty. I really like. I don't discount that. I think that it's very possible that the writers at one time were thinking this could potentially be an interesting way for us to create another love triangle dynamic, and then they maybe just didn't go with that. But they definitely abandon storylines if they think that something else is going to work a little bit differently. But I've always felt like the Marty character was a right character for creating some sort of love conflict, and they never really went anywhere with it. And so I always felt like I always felt like potentially they thought that they would, and then they just, for whatever other reasons, like decided to focus more on a different storyline, which then closed the amount of time they had to actually work on another storyline like that. And so then they just like let it fall apart. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, the idea that like that she would start to date somebody else while her serious boyfriend lives in another country, and she's got this long distance relationship seems totally legit.
He's in New York now.
Oh, he's in New York? Oh, yeah.
Also, that's why they had to make Marty a jerk. He couldn't just be in between or good. He had to be bad in order for them to write him off.
That makes
just
sense.
bad to the bone. Bad
with
to the
Marty. Lee's flashing.
Thank you. I wasn't here when we watched the season where Marty was introduced, so I haven't actually gotten to say this. I actually have very strong opinions in agreement with John on the topic of Rory and Marty were actually supposed to be a thing, because I've enjoyed the scene where she finds him naked in the hallway, but the one thing I've loved and equally found quite comedic is the very obvious romantic zoom they do on Marty and Rory separately when they say their names to each other, introducing each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is this very romantic zoom
totally
of things to come. I've always found that really cute, but also kind of comical, because it seems so obvious that they're saying, aha, here are two characters who will be in love.
Yeah. And remember they write the seasons. They write the second half of the season during the actual filming of the first half of the season. So if they received any sense from the fandom, from the viewers, they were watching that kind of stuff. They were, if they had a sense that a character was really popular or was not that popular, then they could adjust. So they may have very well thought this could be a really interesting storyline, and then realize how popular the Logan character was.
He wasn't
with
there
the
yet.
fandom.
That was the season with the affair.
Marty?
No,
the
Dean.
season where
Dean.
He was in both. He was in the season with the affair, and then when she starts liking Logan, he's back again, and she's kind of like, I like Logan, I like you, and that kind of thing. So he's
because at Asher's wake, Marty goes up to Rory and says, like, Rory, do you have a boyfriend? And then she's like, I don't know, and then inevitably goes to Dean.
I'm talking about the first season that we
me
meet
too.
Marty for the very first
Logan
time.
wasn't in that season.
He wasn't?
Nope.
He came in season
Logan
5.
started in season 5.
We had a whole season without Logan and with Marty.
In Yale?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes,
Marty
it
was in
freshman
season
year.
4.
Wait a
Her
minute,
second
John.
year.
And Logan was having
Oh
his
my
gap
God, you're
year.
right.
Have a boyfriend.
You're right. Because
He
that
was
the whole
introduced
season.
like episode 2.
That was the whole season
5.
about Dean.
Remember
Dean.
Pendleton Lot?
That was Dean. That was
the season he came in.
Yeah. I got it. That was that first season at Yale was the season where she's dealing with Dean and Lindsay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's
'cause she
romantically
doesn't technically have
hibernating
a
because of
boyfriend
Jess.
at all.
Right.
In-
But my point still stands. Something may have happened in the writing that had them, I don't know, I'm just speculating, that had them decide, no, we're going to focus more on this.
I'm kind of confused on that, because I remembered that when both Rory and Marty introduced each other, I didn't remember a Zoom. I just remembered that they were just,
you gotta
regular,
go back and look at the Zoom. It's hilarious and wonderful.
It's so there.
But
also,
like, was it zoomed in more than like a medium shot? Because if
Yeah,
it was a
so
medium shot, then they would just.
goes-
Was it a?
It
It was a.
switches
It was a push.
between-
It was an actual push in, like the camera moved.
Yeah.
Into a zoom. Oh, well,
Oh.
that's very
Let me refresh
uncharacteristic
my
of
memory.
the show. They
I'll
rarely
see if
do.
I can find a YouTube clip.
Didn't Stan say that Marty was not written in as a love interest, though?
But Stan wasn't there that season, was he?
no,
No, he wasn't.
he came in season.
He came season 5. He wouldn't know that.
That's one of the head writers.
I don't think so. I mean, he might have heard that from them, but I'm saying he wouldn't have been there when they were making that decision. So it's very possible that it was discussed when they first hired the actor.
I don't know if he was written in as a love interest, but I do feel like I read somewhere that there was a conflicting reason why he could no longer be on the show regularly. So that's why he left when he did.
I think that he was in a
And then-
play, wasn't he? Like, I think he might have been
yeah, I feel like it was something else he was booked for that conflicted with Gilmore Girls. I don't know if they ever wanted him to be a love interest, but I felt like they wanted him to be more integral in Gilmore Girls than he was. But
yeah, and he always seemed in that first scene when she sees him there naked in the hallway.
I dropped a link so anyone on Discord, if anyone wants to go look at the Zoom in.
Also, the way that he behaves, remember how he starts kind of teasing her a little bit, that right, like shortly after that, that's like a personality. That's always like a personality thing of the Marty character that we sort of lost after that. Like, it seemed like they were kind of building on that. They were giving him a little bit of spunk, and then it just went away.
Because he liked her and she didn't like him back. And so I feel like, where do you go from there when you are
Well,
really
but they could have easily written that she did like him back. They just, she starts to not like him back shortly after that. At that point, we don't know if she doesn't like him.
Wait a minute. I just saw what Lee is talking about. So you know that little Zoom thing that you were talking about, Lee? I think they did that because he stood up.
He was already standing though.
No, I've watched it just now on YouTube. They did it when he just stood up. Yeah. But it was only to him. There was no zoom on Rory. So even if it was intentional, it was showing that Marty was falling for Rory and not Rory to Marty.
I'm gonna watch it right now, and I will
that makes
be the third deciding vote between you and
it.
Carl. No, I'm kidding.
Hey John, that's a good question to bring in. Have you ever watched the movie Beaches?
He's in a robe. He's not naked anymore. Sorry.
Have you ever watched the movie Beaches, John?
He's watching the YouTube clip.
Oh, never mind.
Well, I think the reason why they zoomed is because he was putting on the robe, and they did, obviously he was naked.
He was
naked in the robe.
His
I'm
package.
telling you, that's a romantic zoom.
Oh, I'm not deliberating that, but
I don't know. It was like literally not even a second of it.
It's while
Can
he
you all
says,
hear me?
I'm Marty.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can, John.
We can now.
Okay, because I'm watching it, so you'll hear my reaction in real time.
Okay, we'll be quiet.
Alrighty.
The
All right.
Marty character was just brought in to show another good guy.
Yeah, it
Sure,
just looks like
good guys can become love interests.
Except
I mean, yeah, that's
Did you see the zoom?
Not yet. I'm still halfway
sorry, I
through
thought I
this. This is a
heard it.
long scene.
Fast forward.
I mean, it was another
Yeah,
Dean.
go to like
It
a
wasn't-
minute and 5 seconds or minute 10 seconds.
Marty was not Dean Les. No, that's mean. Marty was too.
Exactly, he was another Dean. He wasn't another Jazz.
definitely wasn't
And
another
it-
Dean.
But Marty was the good guy that she was going against.
But I mean, you only really get to know that later in the series. Like, at this stage of the game, if they were thinking about making a love interest, they could have gone in a variety of ways with this character.
I'll be honest, the biggest reason why I thought of Marty as a love interest the first time that I watched Gilmore Girls was because I was watching anime for like 8 years before I got into Gilmore Girls. So it's not a surprise to me that Marty wasn't a love interest because it was written by Amy Sherman Palladino, who doesn't write anime.
That's a
Come on now.
full-on Zoom. That's a
romantic.
full-on, like...
It was a Zoom, but like, did it zoom on Rory too?
Yeah, I'm not.
No.
No, it
Well,
only did it on
no,
seeing the
you're
Zoom.
right about that. You're right about that, Carl, that the fact that it doesn't zoom on both of them doesn't really make it necessarily like a reciprocal love interest thing, but but the fact that it zooms on him means that he is something special.
While he's
Like,
saying,
that they're
"I'm
trying to
Marty."
make him something special.
While he's introducing himself, saying his name for the first time, it does the zoom.
Yeah, except that when it does come back, but then when it does come back to her, it's not like she's like staring at him. You know, she's not like she's like, ooh, like I just saw that Zoom.
Hey,
you
on
know?
the subject
Like,
of changing subjects, can we get back to the episode?
Say again.
Can we get back to the episode?
Well, we are talking about the episode. We're talking about, we're talking about characters and relationships, and this is, I think all of this is related to Rory and Logan.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it really fascinating. I'd never thought about Zooms and things like that being used to sort of indicate
Oh yeah.
That's really fascinating.
For sure. I mean, you'll see it. It's most obvious will be when you get like the double zoom. You like zoom in on one, then they cut to the other person, then it's zooming in it's not a zoom. That's an incorrect term.
Zoom.
It's actually because a zoom is when the lens actually changes, whereas this is a push in. This is where the actual camera is moving forward, that's not technically a zoom. Zoom is a camera lens
Hey,
thing.
John.
Our photographers would know that.
If I said it was a romantic push-in, I feel like that might have sounded a bit wrong.
That might have sounded a little risque, yes. But it is sort of when you slowly push in on a character into a closer close-up shot, and you do it to both characters, that's usually an indication that there's like some chemistry that has been that the filmmaker is showing you is going on right now. If you do it on only one of them, then it might actually be more indicating that this one person is somebody special to the other one, right? Like so like the fact that it's pushing in on Marty but not pushing in on Rory might actually indicate that Rory is finding something special about him, but he's not necessarily finding something special about her, because the push-in is on him. So he's the one who's actually being sort of highlighted. And it might not necessarily be for Rory, but it might be for us, the audience. Like we see that push-in on him and we're thinking, oh, we need to remember this character. He's going to be important.
Or maybe the push-in is signifying Rory really trying to stare at his eyes. Naked man is in her, dorm hallway. Could be that.
Well,
yeah, I mean, maybe.
He's introduced as the anti-Logan or the anti-Dean, the good guy.
Well,
when we meet him,
I would say the only pushback that I would say there is that at this stage, just there, we don't really know if he's a good guy or not. We do know that he's
partier.
Yeah, we know that he's a naked partier laying in the hallway. And if they had thought we're going to make him a love interest, then maybe they wouldn't have written the character to become this much more good guy type character that he absolutely does become. But at this stage, there's not really anything about him that tells me he's a good guy. He's laying naked in a hallway, and he's been, he was partying the night before. He's been
You're right. You're right. That at this point, it is just an introduction to college life.
Yeah, that's true. And college life, very often, that early part of college life is about meeting people that could potentially be love interests. And there's also something else that I remember hearing about this character. This actor being cast in the role. He was cast because Amy and Dan actually met him at a restaurant that he was their waiter, and they were so charmed by him that they wanted to find a role for him on the show. That also seems to bode well for the idea that they potentially thought he could be a love interest. But again, they may have then decided for a variety of reasons, because again, a lot of this show was written as the season is actually going on. So they have lots of information that's coming to them from the fandom that's watching the show at the time, to how things are going, to the chemistry of the actors on camera together. They can see, oh, these actors don't really have great chemistry. Let's abandon any idea that we had. But at that stage, when they looked at this guy who was waiting waiting on them at a restaurant and thinking about bringing him onto the show, it's actually likely that they thought this guy could be a potential love interest for Rory.
You know what, John? Okay, so let's go down that route. Let's go down that thought process real quick. That like Marty may potentially be a love interest. Just going off of like the first two scenes where like Rory meets Marty but doesn't know his name, so we just call him Naked Guy. Marty doesn't know Rory's name, so she's just girl with robe girl. So then we'll go off of like the fact that there could have been a love interest there. But then that's the first scene where they meet each other, right? And Rory's not really wild like she was when she met Dee. There's not really much of a mention of him or anything like that, you know, in like a dreamy way. It's more kind of comedic with her mom. Then the second time she actually met him and they actually exchanged, you know, names and knew each other and stuff. It's like the breakfast thing. She's all, you know, discombobulated. And he's like, oh, this is fair thing. It's still kind of comedic and still like lukewarm, very platonic, kind of the same way as her catching him on the floor naked. But when you see how Marty is with Rory, and if we go off of Lee's pushing theory, it only pushes in with Marty.
That without thinking dirty.
My work here is done.
Well, yeah, so like we'll all go off of the fact that like the push-in was a romantic move, right? So then it could have been intentional, but it only pushed in on Marty. And then the same thing happened with the breakfast time where like Marty was kind of hoping in a way to meet Rory again. He even mentioned that in their little conversation with each other to like, you know, be even and stuff like that. In both of those scenes, we are being told that it's an unrequited love interest. So that's the closest that I can see Marty as a love interest, as an unrequited one. It's very one-sided because Rory just doesn't show that she was interested in him at all. But, you know, that's just what I saw.
Deeper into the storyline, you're absolutely right. But at this stage of the game, Rory's reaction to him doesn't have a whole lot of bearing on where they may or may not take that storyline. I mean, it's very possible.
Exactly. That's why I mentioned the cinematic moves. You know, because Lee brought up the cinematic move, so I was like, okay, cinematic move.
Well, but it's very possible that cinematic move was. It's very. I mean, again, like, you know, also something that we should also remember is that the cinematic moves that you see in the episode, that's the director, and the directors on these shows, for the most part, with the exception of a few, weren't actually on staff. They were brought in and rotated, so they would get download information from the creators, the writers, on how they wanted certain things done and dealt with. But for the most part, they were also interpreting things themselves, and, you know, sometimes making mistakes, like wanting to do something and then a writer would tell them, no, that's not how we want to do it. But a push-in like that was meant to say that this particular character is special, that, you know, I mean, that might have been something that the director thought was necessary, but maybe didn't reflect how the writers felt about it. Although they might have asked the, you know, or like the director might have asked the writers, like, what are we thinking here? Is this a character that Rory's potentially going to have a love interest with? Is it a special character? Can I do a push in there? And they may have said, like, yeah, we're thinking of going down this road, but I think that he's going to probably be special enough that it's okay to do it. Like, I'm just speculating here, but I'm giving you a sense for like how that process could potentially go, because, you know, directors whose job it is to figure out all that kind of stuff are, you know, doing a very different task than what the writers are doing, which is deciding things like whether or not that character is going to have a love interest with the other one. But I think that it's totally within the realm of possibility that you would have a character introduced that is just like naked on the floor, and Rory being kind of like slightly dismissive of him, or not seeing that he's a potential love interest at this point. I think it's totally in the realm of possibility that you as a writer could eventually get those two characters together in like a really powerful, emotional love interest way. Like
It's possible, yeah. I mean, I see it on anime shows all the time where two characters like that get together.
And I
It's
was
just
on anime.
It just doesn't show on Gilmore Girls that much.
Yeah,
but I could agree with it
I
too
don't-
because it was
I don't know. I
directed
mean,
by
I
Matthew Diamond, who did
I think
Camp
that
Rock. So
yeah, but it's all hindsight's all 2020. Like we can say it now because we've seen it all, right? Like, oh, they could never possibly do it together. If they had written it in a different way, they may have written it in a way that would have been totally believable and we'd have totally bought it, and we wouldn't have experienced the show that we got. And so, you know, we would have totally accepted it. But like, you know, that didn't happen. This is, you know, he was presented as this like kind of guy who pines after her and is a good guy, and that's who he is. So I mean, it's almost kind of a little bit of a moot point to even go around it. I'm more just trying to explain that like the process of writing characters is not necessarily always like that cut and dry. They do sometimes bring somebody in thinking that they're going to go in one direction with them and then go in another one. And there's a lot of clues in there early on that tell me that they possibly were thinking, well, we could go in the love interest way with this guy.
maybe so.
And Carl,
You
let me
are
just
still
say
so
you are
much
not the
Team
only one
Marty,
here who likes
John.
anime.
Wait, what, Lily?
I said you're not the only one here who likes anime, so you're good.
Oh no. Yeah, it's fine. It's just that the only reason why I would ever see Marty as a love interest is if this was an anime show.
Yeah, I
And
know.
I totally get that.
I totally got the biting criticism, Carl. I get it. I mean, you know, it's just
He's like the perfect type of like main, you know, like anime character, love interest type thing. Like if I was playing a Japanese role-playing game, he would probably be the hero, and he'd be with a girl who kind of looked like Rory Gilmore,
but only
looked like some girl from Little House.
But
on the
I know,
Prairie.
but you're basing that off of the Marty that we get throughout the entire show. We're talking about whether or not
like
very,
before,
very beginning
like we're doing like
we're talking about
just
whether
in
or not
case.
at the very beginning that character might have been, you know, in the minds of the writers, but potentially he could have potentially been written in a different way than we ended up getting. And I would argue that like the only thing that I'm saying here is that scene in the hallway doesn't really tell us much. It doesn't really give us much of the Marty that we're going to see later in the series. In fact, I would even argue that scene kind of paints him a little bit more not quite so like nice guy. It sort of paints a guy who is like partying and I can see how they might be able to write that character in a different way. Jennifer's going to come on up and she's going to give us her insight on that. Jennifer.
My insight. I just wanted to add, I don't know if anybody mentioned, we're talking a lot about the scene, you know, where he's naked, but they met before that. They just hadn't spoken to each other yet.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah,
they were
that's
in
true.
class together, and I feel like that scene where they're both like the nerds arriving early to class and not knowing what to do, like that was the first impression of Marty.
Yeah,
which is really different.
That's totally true.
Thank you.
100%, Jennifer. Look, you're getting at the clues, paying attention.
I know, but Carl, I didn't interpret that scene as being one that wouldn't, that like, to me, that moment where they're there, they both look at each other, was a perfectly acceptable version of a very subtle meet cute.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree with that, because like, you know, them, like what Jennifer said, like that scene, I kind of thought that something was going to be there, but again, like I was a kid when I watched this, and like that's, you know, that was the thing that I thought was going to happen, and then it didn't happen. I was like, oh, okay, well, if I do the math and I see what type of boyfriend she was with before, it would make sense that she wasn't with Marty. But you know, it could have.
Rory friend zoned him, and
yeah,
the writers friend zoned him as well.
I'm
Very
gonna
much so.
jump
I think
in
that
here with
I
a
think that the
theory
writers
that is
friend
gonna.
zoned him.
Sorry, go on, John.
No, I was going to say, I think that the writers friend zoned him. I don't know why they did, but I think that it's entirely possible that it was decided after like hiring the character, it was decided that they were going to friend zone him. I don't necessarily think that
it's like, I don't think that these early scenes tell us enough about whether or not they were definitely going to zone him from the beginning. And that I think there are some clues in these early scenes that they may have actually been thinking potentially of not doing so, of actually creating a little bit of something.
Is it possible that when he was hired for the show, that the intention was to make him a romantic interest, but once they saw the actors together, they realized that they didn't have that romantic
100%. 100%. That's what I was saying. There are so many reasons why writers might abandon something that they had decided, months before, or when they met this particular character. And it can be anything like that. It could be something like the two actors don't have that chemistry and we don't think we can make it work. It could be that, oh my gosh, well, here's a good example, or here's just like one possibility. That season was the season with the Dean and Lindsay thing, right? It's very possible that storyline became so popular with the fans that it would be hard that would be hard for a Marty storyline to compete with that. And so they decided we're not going to compete with it. But if you notice, that is the season where we don't have another love interest. It's just Rory and Dean dealing with that kind of thing. And the only potential one could have been Marty, but didn't end up being Marty, right? So a variety of reasons why, but you also mentioned another one, or somebody mentioned another one, that the actor might have had a conflict, right? That actor might have had a conflict. And then they're like, well, we can't do anything with an actor that we only have for like 3 episodes. Like, in order for us to build this into something significant, we're going to need like at least 8 episodes with this actor, and he's not available during that time. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just saying there's just so many different reasons why. And so what we got was that wishy-washy friend zone Marty. That's what we ended up getting. It's easy for us to then take that Marty and sort of imagine that that's the Marty from the very beginning that was always meant to be the Marty, and it might not have been.
I wish they were just friends though. Like, it was so sweet at the original Yale Harvard game when Marty came and hung out. It was really nice. I wish they never teased out a potential romance.
Yeah. I like Marty. I like the Marty character. I think he's an interesting character. Even in his friend zone state, I find him just a fascinating character. Especially
100%. I used to watch Tenchi Muyo. That's why I love Marty. They're kind of similar to me. You know the anime series Tenchi Muyo?
Oh yeah. I don't know it, but I know of it.
Look it up. I'm telling you, similarity.
I liked him. I especially liked some of the stuff with him this season, with him and Lucy, and him like pretending that he doesn't know Rory, and then him saying that he thinks that she's beautiful, and then freaking out and like kissing, all that stuff is just like really like interesting, weird human behavior stuff. That's just, I think, really fascinating.
It's
fascinating. It's weird, but
pretending you don't know somebody that you used to hang out with for 2+ years is really normal behavior.
That sounds like an episode of 6 Feet Under.
Oh, I think that I think it's totally normal behavior when like feelings of love are involved, and heartbreak and all these things. I think that it's I wouldn't say it's normal behavior. I'm saying it is behavior that happens. There are absolutely people in this world who would do something when they're in that kind of a situation. And that I think that it's interesting, because those types of moments and those types of characters, they sort of live at the extreme, but they do exist. And that's why they're fun to watch in drama. But I mean, I can speak from experience in saying that, like, I didn't do that, but like I mentioned it before. I was heartbroken in a very similar way, and had to like had to like get out of a room that the person was in because I was just completely freaking out. Like that happens to people. And when you're at your worst, yeah, you do. When you're that vulnerable emotionally, yeah, you could do weird things. And so I loved seeing him do something so incredibly weird as that, you know, just narratively, obviously, like, you know, it's what he's doing is super weird, but like
Everyone was
narratively,
perfect. It would be a very boring show.
right. That's sort of the point that I'm making. So, but I definitely, so I guess I'm agreeing with you, Mandy. It isn't normal, but that's why we watch it. What I definitely think though is that it is real. That does happen. It does happen. You know, people do act like that.
Yeah, it's as normal as a 6 Feet Under episode.
And what's really great about it though too is that it actually forces Rory to have a real like friendship conflict, which she hasn't yet in the series in such a way where, you know, where
Diana,
a new
could you
person,
start?
which is-
Diana,
Yeah.
could you start over? My internet broke out,
Oh,
broke off,
no.
and I just got back.
No, I was just saying that the whole Marty, you know, acting like he doesn't know Rory situation, like actually puts Rory into a new situation where she's never had to go through like a new friend conflict. You know, like all of her friends are sort of, you know, she's had them for a really long time, like Lane, even Paris, like they know each other really well. And I feel like the whole Lucy thing is actually really character building because, you know, you get a moment where Lucy's like, no, I don't forgive you. And she doesn't know what to do with that. And like, she has to kind of figure that out. And then it really like dovetails nicely into the conversation with Richard and the letter, and then the letter that Lorelai writes, you know, it's like all of it is actually a really nice catalyst for some good storytelling. So I always really like it in a way that he's such a jerk because it sort of allows this other nice you know, sequence of events to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the letter, I would like to, because I wasn't on the couch for that episode, I would like to say that the Gilmores need to stop keeping carbon copies of the letters they write because it never turns out well.
Good point.
Oh, true. The whole tricks thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because of
Lorelai
Gilmore
gave an
Girls.
explanation.
Yeah.
Lorelai gave it.
I really thought that because of me watching Gilmore Girls, I thought that was just something that white Anglo-Saxon Protestants did. Like they just kept carbon copies of letters.
Yeah, it must be because
I love
I've
it.
never heard of
you
it
did,
before.
you didn't go straight for the acronym.
It's very waspy.
You gave us the full.
Well, you know, there are people too. You know, there are community white Anglo-Saxon Protestants that, you know, represent.
Did you say represent with a W?
I'm gonna actually have to jump off here. This episode was awesome, and will definitely, Mary, just expect. I mean, you can already expect what the rating of this one's gonna be.
I feel like the last few are gonna be quite high.
Yeah, they are gonna be high. I mean, I'm having this kind of nervous feeling about this, that it's going to rate higher than the fandom is comfortable with.
Well,
you know what, John? I think I'm gonna say this right now. I feel like with your opinions on like Gilmore Girls and the episodes of Gilmore Girls and how much you like conflict, you might as well just have us watch 6 Feet Under next.
Do you want to watch 6 Feet Under with me? I like that. I like 6 Feet Under.
John,
you like 6 Feet Under?
I just want to point out that in season 7, you said you found one of the episodes that was best of the entire series, which I don't.
Yeah,
think
that's right.
So there, right there, you're already setting the bar higher than.
I'm setting the bar.
I
I will say that this season will have 2 of the lowest rated episodes of the entire series. Which ones do you think those will be?
I don't even want to guess anymore, John. You just gonna have to dive that hill on your own.
I'm just really excited for episode 20, and I'm really hoping I can be on.
So a couple of things before I head out. One, tomorrow we've got Todd joining us. He and I actually were texting a little bit during this episode, so he's good to go. He'll be here tomorrow at 8:45 Pacific time, whatever that means to you in your local time zone. So that's awesome. A reminder, Sean is going to be here next Thursday for our season finale, which will be
Yay.
really awesome.